Hey, thanks for joining us for another Amazing Stories Unwrapped. People often ask me to define what I'm about as a storyteller. I like to say I'm an artist who uses words to paint on the canvas of your imagination. More than that, I want to take you to amazing places that can only be found in the biggest and most wonderful nation of all. A place more vast than the universe of galaxies and planets. That nation is your imagination. I want to help you dream dreams, to believe that you can do more, be more, and accomplish more than you ever thought possible before, or that other people told you was possible. Today, maybe you're seated on the ash heap of dreams that have gone up in smoke, or you're still trying to make some dream come true, but it's been so long since you started the journey, and you've had a few detours along the way, and frankly, maybe today you're worn out. Perhaps you want to give up. Well, today, I want to talk about persistence, about perseverance, about sticking it out for the long haul. We all remember that story from our childhood, the race between the turtle and the rabbit. You remember how the rabbit speeds off in a cloud of dust. The turtle moves at the speed of a snail, but this isn't a 100-yard dash. It's an ultra-marathon. And in the long race, perseverance always trumps speed. Spoiler alert, the rabbit wins. We forget that in a microwave age of quick fixes and instant gratification. People today are most likely to scream, "I want patience, and I want it right now." But the turtle always wins the long race, not the rabbit. So let your imagination run wild. Dream big dreams for yourselves and those you love. But don't think you can achieve those dreams without persistence, without patience. Here's a story that I think will prove my point and maybe even inspire you to keep on keeping on. I call it From Homeless to Harvard. And by the time the 60s had turned to the 80s, her hippie parents had gone from smoking pot to mainlining coke. While the kids starved, the couple spent their welfare checks on cocaine and heroin. When the cupboards were bare, the girls sucked on ice cubes. They remember the night the family divided a tube of toothpaste for dinner. Liz remembers her mother stealing money for her birthday gift and selling the television set, along with a Thanksgiving turkey they had gotten from charity for a hit of coke. She also recalls going to school in lice-ridden clothes, scruffy and smelling. When all the other kids began to bully her, she decided to drop out. While her parents were wasting days in drug-induced stupor, Liz was a wild child, surviving on the mean streets of New York City. Her mother often said, "One day, life is going to be better." But Liz can't remember how many days she cared for her mom in that lice-filled, roach-infested flat in a dilapidated slum. She does remember the day that her mom told her that she had tested HIV positive and had AIDS. Soon afterwards, her mother died and was buried in a donated wooden box. Not long after her mother was put in that pauper's grave, her druggy daddy couldn't pay the rent, moved into a homeless shelter. Liz was now a young teen out on her own, living on the streets. She fed herself by foraging through garbage cans and shoplifting. Along the way, she stole self-help books that helped spark dreams. She remembered how often her mother had said, "One day, I'll fix my life." So Liz decided to fix her before she, like her mom, would find it too late. At age 17, this school dropout was hopelessly behind, but she came up with an audacious plan to finish high school in 2 years, completing a year each semester in a hyper-accelerated program while still managing to live on the streets. School officials shook their heads. They laughed. They told her that her dreams were impossible. But that didn't stop Liz. Not only has she accomplished that Herculean task, she did it with straight A's. When a mentor took her on a field trip to Harvard, Liz set her sights on being admitted to America's most prestigious college. Her mother had often said, "One day, life is going to get better." That day came from Liz when she received a full scholarship to Harvard. It wasn't easy for this homeless girl from the mean streets of New York City slums to fit into the nation's premier Ivy League school. But Liz Murray persisted to graduation with the same dogged perseverance that had made every impossible dream before that possible. By now, that formerly scruffy and smelly shoplifter whom people avoided on the streets of New York City was now inspiring a nation. Oprah Winfrey gave her the Chutzpah Award. She shared her story on stages with world leaders like Bill Clinton, Tony Blair, Mikhail Gorbachev, and the Dalai Lama. She also wrote a New York Times bestseller, Breaking Night. Liz Murray's life became the inspiration for a television movie. Today, this phenom is happily married with 2 children of her own. She gives her time to helping homeless kids at New York City's Covenant House, proving an adage that I made popular in my book, Desert Crossings. God will never take us across a desert that He doesn't want to use us to take others across the same desert. Liz Murray still finds inspiration in a note that her dad gave her before he died of AIDS. "Lizzie, I left my dreams behind a long time ago, but now they're safe with you." The story of a homeless school dropout who graduated from Harvard proves that dreams can transform life if we're willing to pay the price to make them come true. Liz Murray's story is one of persevering effort that turns dreamers into achievers. Like Liz, I want to live my life to my last dying breath, according to something that Thomas Edison once said: success is 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. The rabbit is fast. And that would be good enough if the race of life was a 100-yard dash. The dreams that are worth giving your life to don't come out of the microwave quick. They are so far into the distance that they can only be seen in your imagination. They're made of the stuff that so-called experts call impossible. Like a homeless dropout, daring to believe that she can cram 4 years of high school in 4 semesters and then go on to graduate from Harvard with honors. That's no 100-yard dash for rabbits. That's an ultra marathon made for the plotter, the turtle who keeps persevering with persistence until he or she crosses that finish line to grab that prize. So keep on dreaming your dreams. But more importantly, keep on keeping on toward the goals you've set. Go with this thought. By plotting, the snail made it to Noah's Ark before the flood came. And so will you. Make it to your dreams. If you keep on plotting, it's just one step at a time, overcoming one desire to stop at a time. It's not taking your eyes off the prize. It was St. Paul, one of the great writers who wrote 2/3 of the New Testament, who said this. He said, "This one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind, reaching for what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the high prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus." That's my goal, to win the prize. I don't know what that prize is you're trying to reach. I don't know what that dream is that was sparked in your imagination, that thing that maybe other people told you was impossible, maybe you think is impossible. But I know that if you persevere, if you keep on plodding, like that turtle, You can make it. You can make it to the goal. Well, if you have to jump off, it's been good to have you with me. I hope you'll come back on Thursday, 12:50 East Coast America time, for one of my favorite stories. It's called The Most Courageous Man in America. You can stay for overtime. I hope you'll stay with Joyce and I. Joyce just joined me. Joyce, good to see you again.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Bobby.
Still off screen. If you look on my Facebook page, you'll see a beautiful picture of Joyce and I at our favorite rib joint, Mickle Bob's, best ribs in Southwest Florida. And Joyce, it's good to have you over in the unseen parts of our couch here.
This is kind of where I like it.
Okay, Joyce. Well, good to have you with us.
Hey, we want to shout out to several people here. Bill Barnett.
Hi, Bill. Good to have you with us.
Renee, of course, is with us.
Renee, always good to have you with us,
Chris
Renee.
McDonald.
Chris, good to have you with us. Hope you're doing well.
Jay Paul.
Jay Paul and his beautiful wife all the way from India. That's how they set their evening to come with us. And so Jay Paul, Joyce, was with us in India. He protected us in the mean streets of Hyderabad. And
Yes.
as we traveled around India.
I felt really safe with this guy.
Yeah, he makes you feel safe.
Lily Lauster.
Hi, Lily. Good to have you with us. I'll be with your daughter and her husband in Dresden, Germany in about 28 days.
Donna Barano.
Hi, Donna.
Okay, this gentleman is from India, Bangalore, I think. K. Rajendran BLR is his last name. I'm so sorry.
Hey, we're trying the best we can, but welcome from India.
Yes.
We'll just call you Kay. Good to have you with us.
He and I have been doing a little bit of texting.
Oh, I'm glad.
Norma Taylor.
Hi, Norma. Aunt Norma. She's my favorite aunt. Good to have you with me.
Brian Hunter.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian. Becky Neve. Hey, Becky.
Hey, Becky, all the way from Minnesota. Good to have you with us.
I think that's it.
Becky's one of the great Bible study leaders I know, and she's also a voracious reader and encouraged me when I was writing my book.
Let's see. I don't see too many questions, but I do see two. Of course, I always have questions. How do we develop perseverance or persistence?
Well, I think to some extent, perseverance and persistence somewhat is built into us. Some people are wired as quick starters. Other people are wired as a little slower, but they're the people who can go the distance. And so it's just like runners. Some people have bodies built for 100-yard dashes, and some people have bodies built for long ultra marathons. And I suspect that the same thing is true of us emotionally with our hardwiring as people. But I do think we can develop perseverance. I remember the first time I went out, I was very much overweight years ago, and I went out to run a mile, thought I was going to die about a half mile into it. Some old guy named George came running alongside of me, and he kind of befriended me and told me how I could develop my running. I didn't realize at the time old George held the senior marathon record for Oklahoma. George began to run with me, and I began to run every day. And as I pushed my body to run a little bit farther, pushed myself to run up a few hills, I began to develop that strength, that perseverance. And within about 2 years, I was running marathons and triathlons. So I think perseverance in life is like that. If we don't give up. One of the things I learned early on in running is that every time you stop, it's harder to get started again. When you're climbing mountains, you never want to do is sit down. Once you sit down, it's so hard to get up. And so one of the things that I've learned is to keep pushing through the pain. Keep on keeping on. Every time you keep a commitment, every time you get up in the morning when you don't feel like getting up, every time you hang in there, every day you hang in your marriage when your marriage is not going well, every day you hang in with those kids, perseverance is just built by persevering. Like any other muscle, perseverance is a muscle. So that's, I think, how you do it, Joyce, by keeping in. And by the way, if you're in a bad marriage, one of the things Joyce and I learned is never to use the D word. Don't use negative words. Don't say we're going to, but always say we're going to go the distance no matter what. Joyce and I have made that commitment. We're about to celebrate, well, I'm not allowed to say which anniversary, but it's a major anniversary.
We've been married since we crawled down the aisle.
That's right. But Joyce, it's really perseverance. It's not because you want to sometimes. You do it because it's the right thing to do.
Oh, that's right.
That's
For
right.
sure. Joyce Gaddis has joined us, and we can call this gentleman Raj.
Hi, Joyce.
Raj, I think we.
Oh, hi, Raj. Well, Raj from India and Joyce Gaddis. Good to have you with us too.
I had another question. Except there are a couple of comments.
Okay.
Chris says, I never gave up and have always persevered. I would have to say endurance, and I think that's an answer to my question. And Joyce is from Bar Harbor, Maine.
Hi, Joyce from Bar Harbor. I was in Bar Harbor a couple of years ago. What a beautiful city you live in. Right there close to Acadia National Park, and we climbed up that big mountain there. That was a little bit of a challenge.
And Renee had a comment. God works in mysterious ways.
He does.
I never in a million years would have thought that I'd be doing social media work. I'm getting paid to do what I love. So the lesson for everyone here is to never, 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 never give up.
It was Winston Churchill who visited Harrow School during the very difficult times of World War II when the Luftwaffe was bombing London almost daily. And there were a lot of people who wanted to give up during those dark days. And Adolf Hitler was counting on the fact that Britain would surrender and he would be free then to move east without anybody on his western flank. But England didn't give up, and largely through the perseverance of one man, a bulldog, a stubborn man by the name of Winston Churchill. And when he addressed Harrow School at their graduation, he stood up to give his speech, and his speech was very short. He got up and he just simply said this: never, 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 never give up. That was his speech. That's a speech I give to myself often. Never, 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 never give up on that dream.
Well,
thank you, Renee.
I have a question, but Donna has a good question here. In what way do you think perseverance is a gift?
Well, I think it is a gift. I believe that in a saying, this is my saying, God never gives you a vision, but that he doesn't give you the provision for the vision. And really, the Latin word provision is just a combination of two words, pro, or for, and vision, for the vision. And I believe that one of the things that God gives us are gifts. And one of the gifts he gives us is perseverance. That ability to have faith, that ability, in fact, my Bible says that faith is a gift from God. That ability to have the faith to believe those things I can't see. In fact, I heard this definition from St. Paul about faith. He said, faith is the substance of things not seen. It's the evidence of things we hope for. It wouldn't be faith if you could see it. It wouldn't be faith if it was easy to grab hold of it. So I think faith is a gift. And I would say to all of you, however you pray and whatever your spiritual belief in life, I would say pray. Pray for the gift of faith. Pray for the gift of perseverance. And so it's something I think you get from God, but it's also something you have to develop within your life. It's something you have to work out. You have to really work it out, and you'll never develop it unless you go through tough times.
And just the last question, and I think Chris already gave us his answer. What do you think is more important, strength, speed, or endurance?
What's more important, strength, speed, or endurance? Well, actually, it kind of depends on where you are. If you have to lift a heavy load, then you need to be strong. And sometimes you need to be very emotionally strong to lift a load that's really awfully heavy. If you need to get out of Dodge quick, you need speed. If you need to catch a train, you need speed. And sometimes we need a little speed to catch up. And then you certainly need perseverance if you have to go the long haul. As an athlete, I try to develop all three. I try to develop strength. So that involves working out at the gym. I try to develop speed. That involves running sprints. But I also do long distances. That involves perseverance. And I think life involves all three. But if you ask me, which is the greatest of those three, I would tell you the greatest of those three is endurance. It's perseverance. It's persistence. Because most things in life, as I said earlier, are an ultra marathon, not a 100-yard dash.
Yes. And Renee, just the last comment. She just posted in your Facebook group page this quote about faith. Faith is the bird that feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark.
Wow. What an awesome, amazing quote. Thank you, Renee, for that. Are we at the end of everything?
I think that we are.
Well, listen, it's well because we have, and Joyce, someone here who has cancer.
Yes, Sonia, I think her last name is Early, stage 4 cancer.
Well, Sonia was stage 4 cancer, Sonia Early, and boy, that's got to be so tough. And so let's remember Sonia Early, and when you, in your thoughts, in your prayers, just wish the best for her and pray the best for her, and also for Joyce. Joyce has a somewhat of a damaged heart from her when she had cancer and chemotherapy years ago. And it affected her heart, and so she doesn't have quite the...
My ejection fraction rate is very low, and...
it's about 25-30% of what a normal person's, of the blood that pumps out every time her heart beats. And she's been getting into shape. I walk about 8 miles a day, but she walks about 3.5, 4 miles. And she's been walking lately, and the other day her heartbeat jumped up to 190 beats a minute. And so she's going to the doctor just to check that out today. So pray for her, and because I want this gal around with me for a long, long time. Well, it's good to have you with us, and I just have one message for you: keep on persevering. I believe that the one who's writing the story for you, the great story writer and teller of the universe, my God, who's writing your story, I believe that he has your best lines, your best chapters still waiting to be written.
Bye-bye, everyone.
God bless.